Hi everybody, this is Investing Club. In this video, I want to take you through how I read and analyze a 10K annual report in order to conduct in-depth research on a company I want to learn more about. And in this video, I will be taking you through a real annual report to show you how I read them and exactly what I look for. Before we get started, be sure to smash the thumbs up button. I really appreciate the support from all of you. And at this rate, it shouldn't be long before this channel reaches its first 1,000 subscribers, which is pretty exciting. So let's get right into how I read annual reports. So what is an annual report? An annual report is a comprehensive report of the company over the past year. And these reports give shareholders and investors information about the company's activities and performance. And annual reports are something that every investor should be looking at, especially if you are someone who invests in companies based on fundamental analysis. Right? If you want to conduct in-depth research on a company, you need to be reading its annual reports. And reading annual reports are a great way to learn more about a company you want to look into more for a potential investment. Now, when I read annual reports, I look for 5 key pieces of information. First, how the business makes money. This should be the first thing that's in the annual report, should be right on the first page. How the business makes money. What is the purpose of this business? Second, I look for the main customers of the business. What kind of people does the business target for its services? 3, the business's competitive advantage. In other words, what makes this business better than all of its competitors? What does it do that makes it better than everyone else? And does this thing give it the ability to continue to grow earnings over the long term? Fourth, the business's biggest competitors. So who's the business competing against? And lastly, management's comments on the past year's performance. And so now I can take you to a company's annual report that I am personally invested in. They are NV5 Global. So to find the annual report of any company is pretty simple. All you do is type in the name of the company and then you can go to their investor relations page. So you can type NV5 Global Investor Relations and click on it right here. And then we can go to financial information. So we are here on the SEC filings and we can come down and we see it right here, 10K annual report. So we can open that up. Okay, and so here we are. This is the annual report. As you can see, for 10K for NV5 Global, which is the company we're looking at. And we can see the stock symbol. And we can see they were incorporated in Delaware. So we can come down a little bit. So here we have the table of contents, which makes it pretty easy for us to find what we're looking for. So for the most part, I take a look at part 1 of annual reports and part 2 all the way up to management discussion and analysis. So part 1, we'll talk about the business and risk factors. And then once we get past the management's discussion, all this other stuff is mostly discussion about the accounting, and part 3 down here is around the corporate governance. And you should read through the whole thing at least once, but mostly I focus on parts 1 and parts 2 for the most important parts of an annual report. So this is just the statement about forward-looking statements. Okay, and here we are on part 1, and here we have the business. Right away, we see NV5 Global is a leading provider of professional and technical engineering and consulting services, offering solutions to public and private sector clients in the infrastructure, energy, construction, transportation, water, government, hospitality, education, healthcare, commercial, and residential markets. And then we see we provide a wide range of services, and here it talks about all the services, and our service capabilities are organized into 6 verticals. And so I'll put a star right here. So this is the first thing I look for, right? How the business makes its money. And it is right here. They provide a range of services and it is organized into these 6 categories. And so that's how the business makes its money. Now going a little further down into the report, we see these 6 categories right here. Right here, they have a description of services. And so in this section, they go in depth into those 6 categories we saw earlier and talk about more in depth what each of those 6 categories entails. Right, so we see first is the infrastructure, engineering, and support. and they have a whole few pages on that. And then we get down to business, technology, and sciences. And so you want to read through all the details about how this business makes its money. And the most important thing about this is you need to understand how the business makes its money. One of the most important things of investing is you need to understand the business that you're investing in. If you don't understand how a business makes money, then you really shouldn't be investing in them. And so if you read something like this that talks about how the business works and you don't understand it, that means either you need to research more into the industry to understand the business better, or move on to a different company that you do understand and sector that you understand better. Okay, so we have number one out of the way, and now for the second item, we need to find out who the customers are. And easy for us, this company lists it out explicitly. Our primary clients are United States federal, state, municipal, and local government agencies, military, and defense clients. And under that, they have a whole list of clients they have worked with. They work with airports, a bunch of universities, healthcare businesses, the military, federal and state government. And so this is valuable information for us. It tells us who this business is targeting with its services. And that brings us right into item number 3, the competitive advantage of the business. Now, some companies will explicitly tell you this is our competitive advantage and this is what makes us better from other companies. And some won't say it outright, and you sort of have to read between the lines to figure out what they think their competitive advantage is. This company just flat out tells you what their competitive strengths are, which is something I definitely like when reading an annual report. So MV5 Global believes they have the following competitive strengths: organizational structure that enhances client service, expertise in local markets, synergy among service verticals, strong long-term client relationships, and experienced, talented, and motivated employees. And so now a company will tell you its competitive advantages, but as an investor, it's your job to determine if those competitive advantages are real enough that they will ensure that the company will have continued success and will keep growing. And so I'll give you an example. Down at the bottom, we see experienced, talented, motivated employees, right? And so, of course, experienced, talented, and motivated employees are a great thing to have, right? But the thing is, what business wouldn't say that their employees are experienced and talented, right? That's sort of something I take with a grain of salt. I mean, yeah, it's good that they put it in there, but it doesn't really mean that much to me in terms of something that will make the company be bigger in 10 years than it is today. Same with strong long-term client relationships. Again, that's great, but is that what's really going to be driving this company forward for the next 10 years? And so in this list of 5 strengths, I find that 2 are the most important. This one and this one. So the first one is, but this business uses a flat vertical structure compared to its competitors, which usually use a structure organized by geography. And so, it says this structure ensures that clients have access to the entire platform of services we offer with the most highly qualified professionals. And so basically, this is the main thing that makes this company different from its competitors. Its competitors, for let's say it's construction services, they have their global operations, and say in each country they have, a different construction officer for that country. And what this company does differently is they have one head of the construction part of their business, and that one head organizes the business throughout the whole world. And so that ensures that no matter what part of the world a client is in, they're going to be getting the top service by the top professional at the company, instead of, say, at rival companies where, clients that want their services in other countries might not be getting the best quality service that the company has in other locations. And so that's really the most important thing for me. That is something that I can say, that is something that's different from their competitors that will make this company continue to grow over the long term, right? And in addition, synergy among our service verticals, right? Our commitment to cross-selling minimizes the use of sub-consultants. So this company is in a lot of different industries, and they grow mainly through acquisitions. And so by being able to offer such a wide variety of services, I think this will sort of become the company that everyone comes to, whether it's engineering, construction, consulting. The fact that they've integrated so many parts of their business means that once a client comes to them for one thing, they're most likely going to stay with the company no matter what problems they have in the future, just because this company covers such a broad range of industries. And so those are the two competitive advantages I really think that makes this company worthwhile to invest in. Now, going down a little more, we come to the competition section, and this is where the company talks about their competitors, right? The engineering and consulting industry is highly fragmented and characterized by many small-scale companies. I love how plainly that this company lists out their competitors, right? We believe our publicly listed and private company competitors include the following firms. And then they straight up just list a bunch of companies that they think are their main competitors. And this makes it so much easier for me that I have them all laid out right here. And so the next step to researching this company is that a lot of these companies are public companies, right? So the next step of what you should do is go into all of these companies and read their annual reports and find out what they do, and then to determine how all the different companies in this industry work. Right? If you want to get really in depth with it, it's not just about the company you're researching, it's also about all of its competitors. And coming down a little more, we have risk factors, which is definitely something very important and definitely something you should read through to understand the risks that this business faces. All businesses have different types of risks, so it's important that you understand the main risks to this industry and this company. And then we come down to selected financial data, which is basically the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. And then we come to management's discussion and analysis. And this is probably the most important part of the annual report. This is where the management tells you over the past year what worked well, what didn't, and what their predictions are for the future. And for example, they talk about their recent acquisitions, and they talk about where their revenues come from. And then they talk about things like operating expenses. This year there was an increase in operating expenses. And so the most important thing of the annual report is to read about the management's comments to see what they think about how the business went last year. And so when I do this, I like to look for honesty and transparency in the management team. And I think the best way to get a sense of management teams that are honest and those which are not is just reading as many annual reports as you can. Find some annual reports of companies that you use every day. It could be Apple, Facebook, it could be Nike, right? Basically just companies whose products you use so you understand the business, and just read a bunch of them, and eventually you'll get a hang for, what the right thing to say in these types of commentary sections are. And so what you want to do for this company is you want to go back to all their previous annual reports, at least 5 years. I usually go 5 years and sometimes even 10 years back and read this management's comments section each year to see, how their thoughts changed over the years, and, predictions that they made in the past, did they turn out to be true, and so on, right? Sort of just look through the history of the company and how the management's opinions on how the company's operated has changed. And so that's pretty much it. Those are the 5 things I look for when reading an annual statement to try to find out more about the company. If you learned something from this video, be sure to subscribe. I post videos about the stock market multiple times a week, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.